Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the session today. Just let us wait for another minute or so for more people to come on, and then we will start the webinar. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our IBF in Conversation series. My name is Charlene, and today I have with me our IBF fellow, Ms. Chin Ling, all right, Head Group Risk Policy, ESG Risk and Sustainability, OCBC Bank, with us. And today we are gonna have a really exciting time because today's topic is gonna be about charting a career in ESG. And as a lot of you have signed up for this session, so I noticed there's very strong interest in this area. And sustainability topic, I have observed, since MES rolled out the Green Action Plan a few years ago, and much has changed. And I also observed, our IBF fellow Biling having, also grown a lot during this period. And we are very excited and very honored to have Biling with us today. So in one's career, I think some of you here with us today are probably from the banking sector, and some of you are probably out of the sector, but looking at what are the opportunities like, and how you can explore this space and in ESG. And now it's after summer, right, in the autumn, and it's a time of looking at exploring and new harvest opportunities, right? And it's going to be a time of exploration. And of course, with work also at a site, we are also very busy with work. How do we balance that? And today our topic is really looking at what ESG, climate risk, how has it been involved. And I'd like to invite Biling to get for our friends to get to know you a bit better. Perhaps Biling, would you like to share about your career in banking? I think everybody is really curious. As in our synopsis, we've always talked about being in a career for a long time. And does it mean that we are stuck in it? Career changes, is it possible? Maybe would you like to share with us your career path and how has it been like for you? Yeah, over to you, Billy.
Thank you, Charlene. It's lovely to meet you again. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend this time with us. And firstly, I would like to also thank IBF for this opportunity of sharing a topic that's very close to my heart. I started this journey 5 years ago, and since then I have never looked back. Very exciting times that I have gone through. Like what Charlene said, I did not start out, born into this job, so to speak. I actually had a long career, in consumer bank actually. I started 28 years ago, and when I started out as a consumer product manager, and I thought, hey, it was pretty cool. I was like a FMCG, product manager, where I, look at producing and manufacturing products, retail products for our end customers. So that was actually how I started. And before I know it, I spent 18 years, in that job, doing different roles in the organization, and actually particularly in OCBC. So I did a very wide range of lending products as a product manager, learning end-to-end process, looking at the P&L of the products, looking at the innovation, and also then after that I even moved on to become a segment manager. Yeah. So then about 10 years ago, I decided to make a very natural transition for me to move from consumer banking in the front line, in the first line of business. I moved into consumer credit, risk management. And that's and to me, it's a very natural progression where I was, from understanding, knowing the business very well, consumer business very well, moving into now supporting them from approval as well as a credit risk management area. Yeah, and then after that, I move on to this current role.
Right. And I noticed, right, Biling, I recall one of the media reports shared about your learning journey, in a sense. Like it was mentioned that you also very keen in terms of upskilling yourself, and I read that you actually took a course in sustainability and all that, right? So how has that kind of paved the way for you to be in your current role and being able to thrive in it? Were you able to tell the sign back then, or it was really more of an interest kind of perspective, when you took that course to, just want to expand your knowledge?
Okay. Yeah. So I must say that 5 years ago, when I was asked to take on this role of looking at risk policy and ESG risk management, I have to admit that I, at the time, like everybody else here, all that I know is that I need to be responsible, use less plastic, recycle more, and I read about climate change in the newspapers. So that was how I started out, and then but the job required me to learn, so I have to start with sustainability 101, and having to read up a lot of what is environment, social, and governance. What's ESG all about, and then from there, reading up is definitely a very big part of how I brought myself up to speed at that time. And also, of course, doing courses. So I did wide range of courses, from foundational ones like learning what is ESG in general, and to as well as deeper courses like where deep focus on certain areas like climate change. Yeah. So that's actually, and I think what has been very good in the last few years, and for everyone that you will benefit as well, is that there have been many courses, and that has come out to capacity build on this topic. And in fact, you will also see that of course with COVID, right, what has also there's a bit of benefit here is that a lot of online courses. So there is really a wide variety of information, and learning out there in the market that you can pick up from.
I think that's a really good point. Really being open and flexible, even looking at how you want to keep yourself abreast, with the progressive or even important topics in the industry, in particularly like in banking, right? And just kind of take a pause and encourage our friends. We have actually enabled the Q&A box, and I want to encourage you. We are very honored, as mentioned earlier on, to have Billing's time with us for this 1 hour. So we want to encourage you to ask as many questions as you like, because Billing has really, made her time for us today, and it's really rare that we have, the opportunity of having our IBF fellow. I know we've been running a few of such in conversation series, but really to have our fellows with us is really a very, very precious opportunity. So whether you already have done some inroads, similar to how Billing's path was like, I'm sure you have more questions on your mind, so please keep them coming. We want to keep it authentic and organic for you. Okay, what I do here really is to help to facilitate and to help to you guys to get new ideas of what you want to ask Billing. Okay, so next on, maybe Billing, I'd like to just have new experience, right? And you've been in the space for a while, and with ESG risk or ESG in general, all right, and with with your advice that climate risk has been the buzzword as well. Are there what key trends that our friends here who are looking at building new verticals in their career that they could look at? Would you have any observations that you could share with us?
Okay. Yeah, so indeed, the ESG space has evolved rapidly in the last few years. When I first started out, in terms of risk management, we were looking very much at addressing ESG reputational risks of the bank. We were concerned about our customers' practices, particularly like our wholesale lending customers. Do they have good sound ESG practices in terms of managing their environmental footprint? Or even their social practices, like their labor, their labor rules and guidance, guidelines and policies around their businesses. So we were concerned about that kind of issues from a risk management angle. But now what has evolved into is that it's not just looking at reputation. It is now ESG risk, particularly climate risk, right? Is a financial risk concern. Okay, so that is what has rapidly changed, and why is that so? We all know, right? I'm taking a big assumption here that all of you here are converts to knowing and having experienced the effects of climate change, and know that that is something that we need to do about how the world is rapidly warming up, and everybody has to come together to play a concerted role in tackling this problem, right, that is facing the entire humankind. So that is and really you would have seen that things like transition risk, physical risk, we have seen the physical effects, right? Flooding, hurricanes, right? Things that we have not expected it to come at such frequency. It has happened, and it has an impact on properties, right? Properties, assets, asset values. So that is one impact on the bank financially, right? If let's say we are holding certain collaterals. transition risk with the rise of carbon pricing, right? And that also impact, right, businesses' bottom line and indirectly affect the bank. So it is no longer regarded as like emerging risk, but I think that it has becoming increasingly a financial risk. Okay, I think that's one key point to note. The other point to note is also that ESG risk does not exist on its own, right? So it actually cross-cut with the other risk types that you are all familiar with, all right? And in fact, it amplifies, right, these other risk types. Like, like what I mentioned earlier, right? If let's say carbon prices has gone up to a unsustainable level that a company cannot do it, there is an impact on credit risk of our customers. You know, and where asset prices also start falling, or security prices start falling, there is an impact on our market risk. You see, so generally, I think in the industry now, right, we all recognize that ESG risk is a cross-cutting risk. It can cross-cut across credit, market, liquidity, and operational risk, right? And so as a result of that, you will see that we all need ESG specialists and expertise in all these areas, right, to help to understand, quantify, and and as what risk managers have to do, also stress tests, right? We have to scenario paint and do stress tests on our portfolio to test the resilience of our portfolio.
Awesome. I think those are really good tips from Billing there, really putting it into the context to help, especially those who are not on this call with us, who are not from the sector. Billing really share a lot of key areas that you could look at. And later on, we will address some of the questions that you guys have posted for us, and keep them coming, okay? And what I find helpful is that, Billing, would you be able to share with our friends, right? I mean, with these trends, like you mentioned about transition risks and the practical side of risk management operations, right? The stress testing part of things. If you can, would you be able to share with us how has it impact the kind of roles that you're seeing? At the end of mind is that is qualification important? Yeah. So if you could share with us that.
Okay. I will look at perhaps I look at it this way. Okay. And also to help to connect to for people to that you may be seeing that whether there's opportunities for you. Okay. I'll look at it this way, that firstly start at looking at your own organization, your own division and department. All right. You will see that there have been new roles created. So some of these new roles is not just even in risk management. You see roles like, for example, the Chief Sustainability Officer, right? And a central sustainability department has been that may have been set up in the organization, or already you have one, and you would have seen that there are sustainable finance professionals required in the business area, like in wholesale banking, right? So because you need people, you need specialists to package products, help customers with the solutions, with sustainability-linked loans, green bonds, type of products. So that's another new role. In ESG risk management, as I mentioned, right, you will need professionals as well. Or in fact, if you are an existing risk person, right, some of these skills, right, now you have to expand your skill to look at climate, how climate is impacting and how you should put it together.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, scenario analysis is an important part. And if you are a credit modeler, for example, right, that would be you have to start to learn to integrate, some of these other type of assumptions, right, into your modeling capabilities. And in fact, operations as well, not to forget about operations, right? That a bank also have to look at our own footprint, right? Our own carbon footprint. So you also need to have sustainability people there to look at our own footprint, to able to measure our own GHG emissions, for example. Yeah. So there are various new roles created, but yet at the same time, I think that there are existing roles that need to be expanded.
Right. I think that's a really good point here, and I really like how your perspective that it is more of building new verticals to the existing domain knowledge. Like if it's risk management, then ESG or climate risk, it would be an additional vertical that you could build on, right? And And I'm just wondering though, I mean, for Billing, if you could share with some of our friends, with these jobs that's being shaped and all that, and also leaning on your own experience, how do you actually like keep up with such trends and changes, so that how to better prepare yourself for the next curve that's to come. Yeah.
I think still very much not very different from what I earlier shared, right? That when I first started out, I was, I still have to, we all still have to read a lot in this aspect. We still have to keep up with the trends. If you don't, read up, there's just no way that you can find out what's happening. And actually maybe a tip for everyone is that if you are wondering, there's just so much literature out there, what should I read? One good thing also has happened is that I noticed that there are many newsletters, okay, in that different organizations have come up with, different publications have come up with, and some of these daily, newsletters, they are very good at summarizing the key issues, the key trends of what's happening and the key happenings. So one way is that every day you scan all these newsletters to get the big picture of what are the various trends and what are the various issues about. And then if there's a topic that interests you, right, and then you want to find out more, and that's where you deep dive, right, and then you can pick that up and further read up more about it or find out more about it. Okay. But I think, to expand on this point about, just not just keeping up with it, right? Keeping up is one thing, at the end of the day, I think there has to be action as well. And even though you may not be directly involved in this area at the moment, I think there is still opportunity for you. If you come across a trend that you think that will impact the organization, and there's no one is talking about it, you could be, don't be shy about it, and you could be that person to bring that matter up, to bring that, and that's one area that perhaps the whole organization can learn from you, or the people relevant could start to look into it, and you can also become part of it to be involved. I can share with you a experience that we have in OCBC where we, some years ago, we were starting to, we also have to understand our own footprint. We have to understand what is GHG emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, you would have heard of some of this word. And we actually did a lot of internal capacity building, and we also, at all levels, right, we have to train different people. We also even do a lot of sharing with our senior management on what are all these topics and how does it impact the bank, you see. So after recognizing the trends, I think we need to do something about it. Okay, we need to act on it. And we should take that opportunity, right, to share in the organization so that everybody can be brought up to speed. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Billing, for sharing on that and sharing that story, as an encouragement to our friends here. And I really like you mentioned about don't be afraid being a conversation starter, especially for a topic that is something that's close to your heart. And you rightly mentioned, I think, like, today's topic is really about ESG climate risk. And I come across several candidates that, told me that they want to go into ESG because it's something that's close to their heart. And I think really is to find the opportunity to own that conversation, right? I mean, own that and to start and own it by, being contributing and helping, right? To keep that conversation started and going. And I think perhaps, as you mentioned about the evolving jobs in this ESG space and all that, and I think there are just not many such professionals, with that kind of experience and the skill sets, right? Would you evaluate, right, in terms of, I mean, the candidate suitability, if there's somebody who doesn't have, is a risk professional, okay, but doesn't have the ESG experience per se, right? What would, how would you look at this kind of profile of candidate based on your experience? Yeah.
Yeah, Shirley, you brought up a good point that there are indeed not At this moment, okay, even at that time when I said, right, 5 years ago when I first started out, I don't know much about ESG, and there were many of us like that we've all learned. And in fact, maybe it's a good news to everyone is that to this day, I don't think, we are still looking for that, that person that knows everything, and we haven't found that person yet, So it's that there is indeed no one size fit all, okay? There is it's not like we can find somebody that can come in and we can just plug and play, that kind of concept lah. So there is so that's something that I think we all recognize, and when we look at an individual, then we of course look at that this person has the ability, right, to bring that skill set of what he currently has, and then how he can integrate that into what we need to do, right? Yeah. So that's why, as I say that, like for example, if you are credit approval currently, right?
Yes.
Where you support in wholesale lending. Okay. So in fact, what has also happened that as you can see is that the banks are all into net zero, where we have to look at decarbonizing our portfolios. And how is it being done is that it's actually through a sector approach, right? So you look at different sectors of like, how you decarbonize your power sector, decarbonize oil and gas, agriculture. So these are, and if you are like a credit approval in this, right, you can actually also deep dive into certain area, right, and then perhaps, right, become a more specialist in looking at certain of these kind of deals, you see.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that sustainability has become very pervasive. Okay, it is actually about embedding it into every part of the organization, right? So there may be certain of us dedicated to do this function, but we still need we also need everybody else, right, to able to do the integration into your respective areas. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. And on this and there's very good insights there. Perhaps maybe I could help to ask some of the questions that that we receive very, a lot from our candidate as well. First question is for people who, like you mentioned, maybe from the credit side and all that, right? And let's imagine that this person has really keen interest in ESG. I want to seek your thoughts as well in terms of how can this person raise his visibility, to be seen as a as a potential staff for development or be given the opportunity, because I think sometimes even internal deployment or internal application also, hiring managers are really very strict in terms of what they're looking for. So would you have any advice on people who say are within a firm and they are interested to pursue this ESG space? What would your advice be? Yes.
Okay, so I think beyond just like the credit risk manager, in general, for people who in the organization that is also interested to move into the ESG space. So as I mentioned earlier, one opportunity is that look into your own area, look into your own division, whether there's opportunity, whether there's an expansion of certain of these roles. The other one is that I think the participation, look for opportunities to participate in projects. Okay, a lot of the ESG initiatives started out as projects, okay, because like for example, a net zero project to decarbonize our portfolio can't be done by a single person. It's typically a multidisciplinary and cross-functional type of projects, and that's where you find the opportunity to put up your hand to say that that you'll be interested to participate. And if you have that skill set existingly as a credit approval, that you can bring that insight of credit right into the project, then that could be a way for you to then establish your credibility over time, right? So in the project, that's where you get your visibility and you get a chance to work on it, yes. And then that's a very practical application, of putting, what you learn and what are the skill set that you have into this.
Okay. Okay, I think that's very good tips. And on the other side of the spectrum, okay, say someone who's not from the industry, but maybe related, how do they enhance their visibility, say through an application, like their resume, what would you look out for?
Yeah, okay. So I think what is happening in the industry is that we certainly need people, you know, that can come in to support, to execute, to contribute lah. So I mean, related skill sets are very something that we do look for, right? So one, technical skills. Okay, so if you have technical knowledge, that's a really an advantage if you have a degree there, you know, in this area, which especially for the young careerists, right? They, you know, they could be studying in this field, and that's good. You know, I think you have that foundation that will help us. You know, we don't have to train you in ESG, you know, or perhaps you can teach us now more about ESG, you know, when you come in. And and then the other one is that your relevant skill sets in, for example, like in, as I say, like, okay, like let's say you come from an energy company, right? I think that kind of knowledge is also important, right? Then you know, like I mentioned, right, now a lot of risk management, or even looking at business, also, you know, looking at specific sectors. So that could be also one area that I mean, when they're relevant of such skill sets, we will bring them in as well.
Right. I think that's wonderful. Really looking at what's your strong domain, how you can bring in, you know, together with that, right? And really thanks for answering that questions. I know I pushed it a little bit more to get your advice on this. What about, you know, Billing, if I can ask, what about, like, you know, when you look at, you know, someone, a couple of profiles, right? You know, what would stand out more significantly for you? I mean, being that, okay, this, you know, we Singaporeans all like take courses, get our certifications, you know, very dutiful about it, right? So what would stand out for you? I mean, are there any key traits that you feel that would be able to assimilate into this new space that the person wants to move into, say, risk management, ESG, climate risk? What, any top 3 that you have in mind?
Okay, I will say number one is passion. Okay, so you certainly need to have the passion for this job. Okay, so if you're thinking of jumping onto the bandwagon because everybody else is doing this, a hot area, I think you okay, because it's actually very it is actually very tough work. Okay, there are it being very new, so when you come into this area, you do need to have that growth mindset, okay, and you need to have, to a certain extent, I would say, sometimes this pioneering spirit, you know, where because you are starting a lot of new areas, okay, new processes, okay, new ways of thinking. All right, you have to sometimes even have to convince and influence people to change their existing ways of doing things. So it is a challenging job, okay, and it can be a lonely job as well, okay, if you are the few that you are trying to, you know, convince the rest of the organization, okay. So I think passion is important because that's going to see you through some of this kind of challenges. And actually, in itself also is a challenge. You can also get discouraged, you know, by reading the newspapers every day and say that, hey, you know, despite what I'm doing, why is that they are still saying that, you know, that 1.5 degrees is happening nearer than later, you know, happening sooner than later, rather. So that is a kind of, I think the passion is important, that you must have that belief, you know, that in the job, and that what you are doing is going to change the world, you know. And the other one is that technical skill aside, right, we also look for soft skills. Okay. This is, as I mentioned earlier, right, you have a lot of things, there is actually a lot of change management required. Okay. So you also need to have that kind of skill sets to, you know, to help the organization to change. Yeah, right. And of course, you know, execution is important, right? In any job that we do, right? We need to not just able to, you know, understand the issue, but we have to find a way of solving that problem in the organization.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I think really looking at someone to be able to come and bring forth really new solutions, right? That pioneering spirit and a very growth mindset. And to display that, I think that will call for a separate session to talk about how you display that in the resume. Or if you need help, you can come see us at IBF Career Advisory team. Okay, so I think maybe we can slowly take a look at the question, Elaine, shall we?
Okay.
Right, we have very good questions from our friends here who attended the call. So maybe we can go by the first question. Okay, someone asked, what is your advice for someone who is really keen in sustainability and would like to seek a career in the area, but without any prior experience? So, any advice there, really? Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, I'm not sure. Okay, I guess there are different. It depends on at which stage you are at of your career. Okay, so if you are I guess if you are a fresh graduate, right? Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, degree will be important. But if you are not a mid-career, okay, I think that whatever experience you have, is important, and you must be able to demonstrate, that you can, use that value to contribute to that. Okay, so there are many roles, right? Like I described earlier. So you can be a generalist. Okay, you can go into a general role, or you can deep dive into a specific area. You see, so I think that it depends on what you want at the end of the day. That I mean, a generalist role could be that maybe you are currently in a communications role, for example. Okay, actually your skill set is important, right? In sustainability, we need to do a lot of disclosures, right? You need to learn, you need to able to, we need to articulate and demonstrate to the world our sustainability journey. And we always do that through our sustainability report.
Yeah.
So is that something that you can, that maybe you can contribute and can, and you can go in from that area, you see? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and also, of course, right, having some background, I think you do need to have that a bit of knowledge, okay, especially if you are mid-career, you see. And I will be honest with you that I generally during interviews, people come tell me that they want to come here to learn, right? I do hesitate, I'll be honest. Okay, but we want to, we will teach you, but I think the answers we are really looking for is that you can come here and contribute with us. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's more like looking at a partnership, right, Billing,
Yes, that's right.
rather than what you have for me, right? So because in
Yes.
IBF, I think my fellow colleagues here with us would also it's a common thing angle that we also have this conversation with our candidate, which is really, I mean, just if you have no experience, right? Perhaps then the candidates, or for those of you who are here, you can ask yourself, why do you want to get into this space? Really, it extends to what Billing shared earlier on about passion and interest. And of course, because it's a new field, nobody expects you to straight away have a passion, right? But you need to be able to know why you want to get into the sector, right? It's important to have clarity on that. And you might spark joy or visibility with Billing, like, who is hiring, from time to time, looking at how they can, have a better team, be able to embrace the new, new level, or new areas that's growing in ESG, climate risk, and so on. Right. And yeah, so maybe we can look at, the next question. Okay. Okay, this is also a very common area that our friends, usually when they come to our webinar as well, candidates come to us. What are the certifications that you recommend to get a foot in sustainability and climate change? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yes, so indeed, there are many courses, available. And link back to the earlier question of is that what is the area that you want to do, and so some of these certifications are, for example, like of course, like in risk management, there are some some sustainability risk certification, by I think I don't know what's the GARP, by this some global risk management professional association. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, so you can look into this, but to be honest, it does not guarantee that you will on the job. But knowing that you have a certification, I mean, it gives that comfort that you have that background. Okay, and my encouragement is that start to look at the causes that your company has. Okay, there are actually, for example, like OCBC, I think we are very blessed. We have a very good, robust curriculum, on sustainability, where there are many, topics that cater for people who are, for awareness, learning, to literacy, to even masterclass, and we tie up with, Institute of, Higher Learning. Like, for example, we tie up with Cambridge, and that gives us a chance to do some of these certification courses, like on climate change, on sustainable finance. And even locally, you have SMU, NTU, having certificate courses as well, Of course, if you're ambitious enough, there are also master's program, okay? So I think what I'm trying to say is that there are many certifications, but I would say there is one specific one that you must have, that all of us look at. I think it's really depending on that job scope. So okay, to give you another example is like, for example, people just now I talked about sustainability disclosures, right? So there is certification on those kind of courses, right? So if you want to get into that, there are courses on that, on looking at sustainability disclosures, right? And then if you want to look at climate change, a general topic, you can also, go for the Cambridge kind of courses. Or you should speak to Charlene, IBF, right? They have also sort of courses too.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Wee-Ling, for helping us to shine some light on the support that we provide here in IBF. So yeah, so indeed, we do fund courses on ESG, sustainable finance, climate risk, and you can find a healthy list on our program finder on our website. Later on, we will put that in the chat so that you guys have it, or otherwise you can simply Google it. And I think Wee-Ling really spot on, in terms of really covering all very, very succinctly and very strategically, I think, because we have a very varied audience today, and we're not sure which background that you come from. So we hope that you have jotted down notes on Wee-Ling's advice. I think particularly to certifications, really pursue what you're passionate about or you're interested about, and then you decide whether do you want to deep dive. Yeah, okay. It's really depending on your situation, where you are at right now. And if you do need help, please do reach out to us at IBF Careers Connect. We offer complimentary career advisory sessions for Singaporeans and PR. Yeah. Okay. And next up, we have the next question. Okay, I think we have a few questions that's quite similar. Okay, so let's say there's a friend here who asked that, I think the person probably has been applying for roles, all right, and observed that the role seems to be not being, that the person's been applying for sustainable roles and not breaking through, and observe that it could be due to the firm preferring internal candidates. So, and it feels like this friend are looking at how to break through in it. Like how is she gonna be able to break through into this ESG spectrum? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's indeed a tough one, and I empathize with that. I guess the point that is I mean, the observation is that, we tend to look at internal candidate, right? Well, to a certain extent, I guess it is valid. It's because this ESG, as I mentioned, right, we are trying to integrate it. Everyone's trying to integrate it in our own organization. So as a result, having internal candidates sometimes help because they already know the organization and the culture, and they could actually do that work lah, But having said so, we do look out, as well, because we also need fresh talent. We also want fresh ideas as well. Yeah, so maybe I guess that indeed if you is as having a challenging breakthrough, okay, I maybe yeah, can't really have an answer for you actually. I'm sorry to say, but I think what you can do is that maybe start to look at broader roles. Okay, yeah. So sometimes it may not be a very straightforward path to come into banking. Just like, I'll be honest with you, I did not start banking upon graduation. I was actually doing something else before I joined banking. So it could be that you could go into a role, like for example, maybe like consultancy, for example, get some experience, some knowledge, so there could be maybe other roles in the ecosystem that you can look at, and then that could be another pathway for you to come into the bank, right? That's one way. I think the other thing is that well, it may not be something that generally Singaporeans will do. I think there are also regional roles, because in this region, it's not only Singapore that is looking for green talents, but in this region, Indonesia, Malaysia, a lot of countries are also looking for 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 um, for such talent, because they are also looking at sustainable development and how to be brought up to speed as well. So if they look out for perhaps for short stints, like if they say there is some maybe a contract position, to go to another country to just help to do some startup of the operations or in this outfit in this area, and then and that could be another way of building your experience and the credentials. Yeah.
Right. I think that's really good advice there, being open-minded and flexible, looking at entry into the banking sector, specifically ESG, climate risk kind of realm or themes of role that you're looking at. Because sometimes if you focus on just one route, then you're like limiting yourself of alternative options. I think it's in our sessions as well as career advisors, we also encourage our candidate to look at are there alternative paths, and it also boils back to why do you want to go into this space, and what are you willing to do to get there. Right. And then what you just shared really about being open to options, like contract jobs could be something, or even consultants, basically in that ecosystem, and you expand your horizon so that you get exposure to be working on ESG related projects in the banking sector, right? I think that's great. And I think perhaps then we can look at the next question. Okay. Yeah. I think we're very addressed on really building up certifications and all that. Yeah, okay, so we have one of our friends here ask, like, that you have the skill sets. Okay, so we have a friend here who has left the banking sector for some years, okay, around 10 years, and came to being exposed to sustainable finance through IBF courses. All right, so how can he look at and those who are looking at standing out, how can he stand out basically with those who already worked on ESG, net zero, firms like that. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I hope I get the question right. Yeah, because I think yeah, our friend here is asking about here being left. I think it's very common. All right, being left the industry, okay, but exposed to our sustainable finance through IBF funded courses. So how can he, with only a sustainable finance certificate, compete with those who have already worked in this space? Yeah, so I think it's similar to the questions I asked earlier on. Maybe would you be able to help with this?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think again is being open and flexible, right? To see whether there are I mean indeed, of course, people who have done the job, you would have that experience. But I think it's also to look at your existing experience and how you can also, make that relevant, with that, and then, find a role that can, best that you can best convince that, that the employer that, you are able to do the job. As I said, there are many job roles now in ESG. Of course, there are some that are really specialized. So for example, like a credit modeler, right? Or a modeler, right? That's a job that I also cannot do. I'm not a quant person. I can't do that kind of job, So really is that I think you have to identify which area that you want to go into, and then and ensure that your existing your skill sets or your past experience that can help and demonstrate that it can, you can bring that value plus what you have studied now, to help out to help to create the value further in the organization. Yeah.
Right. I think that's great, about creating value and all that. And I think let's jump on to the next question. What are some of the most exciting and rewarding aspect of your current role? Would you be able to share with our friends here?
Okay. Yes, I think what's exciting is that every day is different. That it is different, it's challenging because there are just so many things to be done, every day. That we are still building and never seem to be, finished building, our capabilities. All right, I think that's the exciting part. And again, as I say, that this is something that sometimes we are still doing change management and we are still, breaking new grounds. So that's the exciting part. The other exciting part is that meeting like-minded people. Okay, I think networking is important. You building a network of like-minded ESG professionals, is important. And I feel so amazed, when I first came onto doing this. I said, wow, there are just so many people around, so passionate, and everyone working, towards a common goal. And that's why there are a lot of industry collaboration also. So like through ABS, through and with the regulators and all, right, there are just a lot of collaboration, and that's the other exciting part also. Yeah.
I think that's great to hear, because a lot of time, our friends here who is not from the industry especially, they couldn't quite tell, what's a day in the life actually of a banking professional, in your space. What is it like? And I think it sounds like, the pace of fast change, adaptability, it's really the flavor. And also keeping up with the changes in, ESG, climate risk, and all that. And I think we have actually, take a quick pause here to actually run the survey. If you guys actually, find this session useful, and also you're able to relate to the examples that Billing has shared with you. Please help us to do this survey so that we can continue to, be able to invite more speakers of other domain knowledge, expertise, and our IBF fellow community, that they are encouraged to come and share their insights with you. Okay, and I hope that there are areas that could help you to make better informed decisions on where you want to pursue. And of course, if you need more guidance in terms of what you want to focus on, I think you can consider making an appointment, all right, with our career advisor to look at, further conversations in a more private session. Yeah. Okay. So we will move on to ask further questions that we have from our friends who attend this call. Okay. Okay. I think we've covered those who have no related experience and, okay. Maybe, could you share an example, in terms of what are the common, like, challenges faced in day in the life, you and your team, and how do you look at overcoming these challenges to continue to break new grounds, in your firm? Yeah.
Okay, I think that actually sustainability work is a very collaborative piece of work. So I mean, there are many stakeholders that we work with. Yeah, so while there are challenges, like as I say, we have to implement something that we have never done before in the bank, right? So while there are such challenges, what is good is that there is collaboration, across different parts of the bank, right? With the business, with the sustainability office, with operations, and then we all come together to solve that problem, you see. So yeah, these are some of the challenges we face, like breaking new grounds, doing new things,
Right.
right, and setting new standards. So like we put in new policy standards, right? Yeah, that is something that also require a lot of stakeholder engagement, right? And of course, one challenge that the whole industry currently face is data. It is not easy to find ESG data, right? As you know, in the bank, traditionally, what we look for is customers' revenues. We look at customers' credit record, account record, but we don't house information like GHG gas emissions, right? So these are new data that we need, and that's a problem that we are all trying to tackle, currently. Yeah, because with that data, then we can do a lot of things, right? We can understand our customers better. We can work with them on their transition. We can do better analysis, right? Better scenario analysis, better way of quantifying our portfolio as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's a really great sharing there. And I think we'll come to the final two questions. If you guys have any more questions, please send them through. We will try to address them as best we can. And on the topic, right, in your earlier advice, Billing, I think one of our friends here took inspiration. You mentioned about networking, how to get started, do you think you could share some example of any associations or I don't know, interest group that our friends here could take reference and get bubbling, to get started, to get practice, to talk about sustainability, because it is a practice, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, LinkedIn is quite a good seems to be quite a good platform, where I see a lot of like-minded ESG professionals. They like to post, they like to share their views, and that's where you also learn a lot from there, or they put forth good articles onto the platform to share with everyone. So that's one. And I think the courses you attend, your course mates are important network, are part of your networking. In fact, I recall when I did this course with Cambridge, there was actually a dedicated Cambridge linking group that was set up,
Wow.
and actually we actually met people from across, the
world,
the world, and yeah, and the group is still pretty, alive, at the moment. Yeah.
Wow, that's so
So there are
encouraging.
things like that, you see. Yeah.
I see.
So I think networking is one, and if you are in an existing organization, right? Even your own colleagues, I think that is that's one way. And I also like to flip it around to you, is that actually you can be the ones to start this networking as well, and leads me to a point about within the organization, leads me to a point about having ground up initiatives. Okay, so that's also one way that you can get involved in sustainability. You can get involved in in starting to start to experience and work on sustainability, and that can be part of your resume as well, right? So I mean, to share is like in OCBC we actually had this ground out initiative that a group of like-minded people, they all come together across the whole bank, and through them we actually have OCBC Sustainability Day, Yeah, so and it was actually a ground initiative, and led by, they themselves, form a group, and then they organize the activities, and then they bring that knowledge and awareness to the entire organization. Yeah, so you can also look at it that way, that you be the one to start that network, yeah, and
Awesome.
yeah.
I think that's great. Really, it's still waiting for the chance. You create the chance for yourself, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's very good advice there. And we're going to be looking at just another one more question or so. But I think I want to encourage everybody, if you you find that this has been a really great session to have Billing with us, really 1 hour full that she has spent her time with us volunteering to help all of us to expand our perspective about sustainability, ESG, climate risk, and also providing you guys with the advice, and also about, very essential skills like networking, right? Get creative. I thought that was a very creative idea. Instead of waiting for where are the groups, you can, if you are working right now, you might want to start something. Okay. And I think there's something that, we won't sometimes get too busy and not think about, it never occurred to us. Like, we keep thinking that it's out of us. But I think Billing gave us very good advice there. And if you want to express your thanks to Billing, I'd like to encourage you to put it on the Q&A box, okay? And lastly, I think, Billing, if I could ask of you, what would you like give advice to our friends here, on looking at really building this new pathway in ESG? Any words of advice?
Yeah, okay. So some years ago, a friend, right, sent me this picture. And on this picture, there were these words, that basically to encourage me. And actually, I think about it, I think it's about the same time that I started on this new role. And actually, what it said, it's actually a quote that says this, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And I thought it is very apt, So my encouragement is that all the experiences that you have accumulated so far in your work life is actually your starting point, Actually, nothing goes to waste. They are transferable, they are recyclable, just like sustainability, okay? So and you can use that, right? Use what you have. Basically, that's what you have, and you use it, and do what you can, you see? So with that kind of combination, I think that will help you to find that breakthrough, of recognizing that whatever experience you have can be integrated with ESG, and that you can find that pathway for yourself. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Billing. I think it's really building on what you have and move from there. And I think it sounds so much stronger. And it's a really very good piece of advice, everybody. So thank you, Billing, once again. Really, really appreciate your time and for volunteering this again. I know I said this many times, but I really am grateful for you. I think, guys, I think Billing is really fully committed on this session to provide her insights and advice with all of you. And we hope that her advice would empower you to make more purposeful career choices for yourself. Be very clear what you want to pursue. All right. And if you need help, do reach out. We are at IBF Careers Connect at ibf.org.sg, or just check out our website. You will find us there. And our career advisors here are ready to help you. And special thanks to Adrian Wu, my partner at the back there. Thanks, Adrian. You want to on your screen and say hi to our friends? Adrian.
No, not necessary. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, till the next session, and do check out our IBF events calendar for the next session. Have a nice rest of the day. All the best in your career. It's autumn. Go for your best shot before winter comes. All right. Take care.
All the best, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Billing.
Thank you.